Good morning, everybody. Welcome to JH Kids Connect. It's Wednesday morning. I'm so excited to be back after the long weekend. And yeah, let's see what we're up to today for the next stretch of lockdown reality. I'm just going to go around the other side. So we're doing things differently today because today's episode is brought to you with Rhodes Quality Foods. We have had a really long-standing relationship with them. They really are everything that the JH brand is about: convenience, quality, value for money. And we are so excited to be sharing some easy dinners and some sweet treats that you can make for your family using their products today. So what we're going to do today is I wanted to do a twist on some Mexican food. I'm craving Mexican food. I really feel like going to a Mexican restaurant. That's obviously not possible. And then it got me thinking about the fact that actually so many basics that are in Mexican food are in South African cuisine. So if you think about it, beans, such a huge part of our lives, tomatoes, onions, avos, spices. So that got me thinking, okay, what can we do? And then I was like, okay, enchiladas. So we actually made this for the family about 2 weeks ago, and it was such a hit. My husband Justin is obsessed with chakalaka. So we used chakalaka instead of your normal spicy, the tomato onion mix that you would use in an enchilada, and it was such a hit. But let me take you back to the beginning. Okay, so what I've done here is I've made a mince, okay? It's your stock standard mince that I know that you all know how to make, that you all love making. You might turn into a bolognese. What I've done is I've added some peppers, yellow and red peppers for flavor and for crunch. Also so important in Mexican cuisine. Then I've added a bit of South Africanness, some masala. It's really, I put in about 2 teaspoons of that. It's a really nice, the traditional one, it's really nice and mild, great for everybody in the family, which I really like. Of course, you need your Rhodes peeled and diced tomatoes. These are the mixed herb ones. There are so many flavors. You can get the Indian spices one, the one with onion. You can get the one with garlic, which is also fabulous if you're too lazy to chop garlic, which I really often am. And the other trick that I did, which is something that my dad taught me, was a generous sprinkling of pesto, just to really add that nice beefy flavor to our mince sauce, our curried mince. So in South Africa, this is a big thing. Like jaffles are a really big thing here. So ordinarily I would make these in jaffles, but today we're going to enchilada them, and I'm so excited to say that I've tried these before and they are delicious. So you're just going to start with the dish, and then we're going to start with chakalaka. Now I chose a chakalaka with corn because obviously corn is such a huge part of Mexican cuisine and such a huge part of ours, and also because there's so much goodness in so much vitamin C in this. Oops, I've snapped it off. So let's find the thing. You know what? Let's just do the tomato onion. But here's another chakalaka. Thank you. What I did want to say is I love these snap-off things because I am so useless with a tin opener. I can never find it. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to give it a good, generous mix around. This really isn't high grade, guys. It's a really easy recipe to make. I've got some wraps. These also keep in the freezer, so useful. But before I do that, I'm going to add some beans. Now, black beans, huge part of Mexican food. Beans are just, they're such a bonus. They're full of fiber. They're so nutritious. They're so convenient in a can. They really are the one thing that we need in our pantry all the time. And super convenient at this inconvenient time for us. I'm going to mash these beans a little bit because with an enchilada, you want lots of different textures. And this is kind of trying to recreate that refried bean scenario that you always get in delicious Mexican food. So we've mashed some beans, and then I'm going to add some butter beans. Now these also come in a really delicious curry sauce, but I've decided to use these because they're really creamy. They add a lot of flavor to any food. Actually, I used these in a cauliflower soup the other day. So much fiber, really nutritious, and they're a good neutral, especially for kids who are trying new foods and what have you. I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old who one day they are really excited about trying things, and the next day they don't want to try anything. So we've beaned up our traditional South African curry mince. Let me just show you what I've done here. Can you see there? We've got mashed black beans in there and some delicious butter beans. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start making my enchiladas. Let's get that tin out of the way. And it's the simplest thing ever, guys. We're just going to put the mince down the middle like you would with a wrap. Okay. Going to give it a little bit of cheese or queso if we're going to be really Mexican about it. I'm going to give it a good, easiest thing ever. Then I'm going to nestle it on that chakalaka and really let it soak up those flavors. And I'm going to carry on. So this little dish that I've got here fits 3, which for us as a family of 4 is perfect because I can split one between 2 of the girls, and Justin and I will have 1 each. And if the older girls were with us, we'd make 6, which we did the other day, and we still had enough left for leftovers. These are really, really filling. And the great thing with beans is that it really does make every meal go so much further. They're such a bonus. They're so important in these times as well when we're also trying to feed other people. Guys, if you can pop an extra tin of Rhodes Quality beans into your shopping and give to someone else who doesn't have anything, I really, really recommend it. Can you see what's happening there with all those different textures going on? You really, really want to up the texture in your enchilada. Okay, roly-poly, the easiest thing in the world, really nice thing to do with the kids as well. Okay, so now we've got our wraps. We're going to make sure they're really nice and snug in there. And where's my chakalaka? Where are you, chakalaka? Here you go. Okay, so I've got my Rhodes Quality chakalaka, and I'm just going to, oh, that looks delicious. We're going to smear it all over there. So you really, when you pop it into the oven, you really want it to get nice and bubbling hot. And now we are going to cover it in cheese. Okay, really smother it. That's a bonus about these quesadillas, the enchiladas, I should say. Okay, can you see what I've done there? So this is going to go into the oven now, 180 for about 20 minutes. Hello, I am still here. I'm just popping it down. But it can also go into the freezer, bonus, or you can wrap it and give it. I'm going to actually take one down to my mum this afternoon. She's in a retirement home and they're not allowed to go down to the shops or anything. So it's my first time out in a week, so it's going to be a bonus to get out. And I know that she's going to appreciate it. I've got one in the oven, so let me show you what it looks like. The eye level oven that isn't eye level for people like me. The cat is staring at me thinking, what on earth am I doing? Talking to nobody or somebody. Okay guys, this is what it looks like. Can you hear it bubbling? Can you see all that oozy cheese? Oh, I can smell the spices. They smell utterly delicious. I can tell you that this is a real crowd pleaser. It's really, really great for all members of the family. Kids will eat it. It's mildly spicy, so it's got a nice bite, and it's got that lovely South African tinge to it. Forgot to put on the coriander, obviously. Dania, huge, huge part of South African cuisine, but a huge part of Mexican as well. So that's the first Mexican dish I wanted to show you. The second one I wanted to show you, which I know from Insta, has got so much popularity, and that's tacos. But I wanted to put a South African twist on the taco. Taco Tuesday becoming a huge thing on the weekends when we have our older girls with us. Sarah loves prawn tacos. And again, tacos is something that you can make so quickly. It goes a long way. Corn, huge part of Mexican cuisine again, huge part of South African cuisine. Taco shells, easily available on the shelves at the moment. Bonus, Rhodes Quality Foods, super easy to find at the moment. So what I've done with this one, here's my mince again. Again, we've put in the red and yellow peppers for some crunch, some vitamin C, for some really good flavor. I've beefed it up a little bit with some masala again. But this time, I'm going to add some baked beans because we're going to do a South African twist on tacos. Now, for me, something that I grew up with, I crave it, I love it, is bobotie. Absolutely love it. We're going to do bobotie tacos. Now, instead of the raisins and that little bit of sugar that you would ordinarily add into tacos, I'm going to add in some baked beans. And what I love about Rhodes baked beans is that they're not overly sweet. it's so easy when one of the teenagers is like, I'm hungry, like, just go and grab a tin of baked beans. I know that they're getting loads of protein, they're getting good fiber, there's so much nutrition in beans, and who doesn't love a baked bean? I mean, really? Okay, so now we're going to mix this all together, let it heat up a little bit, and we're going to get our tacos. Can you see what's going on there? And we're going to assemble our tacos. These are the easiest things in the world to assemble. They're really fun for everybody. Nothing like a little bit of interactive dining this time to make meal times fun. Okay, so what have I got? Some shredded lettuce, good old tomato onion, which you would have if you're Baboti anywhere, some dhania, and what is a Baboti without shutters? Okay, so easy peasy. Chuck in our lettuce. Oh, can you hear that mince starting to really sizzle? Oh, and I can smell them as salad. So delicious. And again, always the chopped and peeled tomatoes. I actually don't think I can live without them in our household. You know, you have that one thing that life kind of just feels in order when you've got too many of them in your pantry. So I know for Justin, my husband, his thing is light bulbs. We always have loads of, like, more light bulbs than we will ever need. For me, it's chopped and peeled tomatoes. I don't know what it is. We have loads, and I've got them in every single flavor you can get. All the herbs with garlic, and yeah, well, luckily it's worked out well for us for lockdown. Okay, so back to our tacos. Can you see there? So we're just going to line them with some lettuce. Iceberg is fine, and it's actually a great way to use up those last bits of lettuce when you had really good intentions of everybody eating salad for supper, which does not happen often in my house. We've got our really delicious beanie mince going in there. Can you see there? I'm going to add some tomato onion, some sambals. One thing I wouldn't go as far as to add, and I normally love it with baboti, but I'm not going to add banana to this. It just doesn't seem right. And then, oh goodness, this is delicious. Guys, it's 9:30 in the morning and I'm wanting to have tacos. I really want to eat this. Oh, can you see how delicious? And that definitely needs a generous pop of coriander, or dhania, as we say down south in South Africa. Okay, so I hope, can you see that? Guys, Taco Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Definitely make a date in your house. Such a great way to stretch food. Such a great way to make an event out of a meal. And what better way to do it than to make a South African twist on a Mexican favorite. Sadie, go away. The dog's trying to get in. I bet she can smell the flavors. Okay, so our next dish that we're going to do with a Rhodes staple. Again, something I always have in the pantry for sweet-toothed children. Something that I've made with one of their jams. Okay, so they have loads of different flavored jams. This is their fruit topping. These are brilliant to have in your pantry. Pour them over ice cream. You can mix them into whipped cream. They are so delicious mixed into whipped cream. This is the very cherry, and the reason why I'm showing it to you is because, guys, this is utterly delicious. Our kids love it. It can elevate any ice cream into a really, really fancy dish. I really recommend it. Today, however, I am going to use strawberry jam. And I'll show you why now. What are we going to do? We are going to do pastry hearts. Where is my tray? Where it is. We'll have to work on here. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Puff pastry. I think this has been in the freezer for about a year. And I'm seeing on Instagram and Facebook, a lot of people are discovering puff pastry that's been there for a year. I'm showing you something that you can do with it, okay? Again, something to keep the kids occupied because you're keeping them occupied. It's a full-time profession, teachers. I'm not afraid to say that we bunked yesterday, starting the first day of school. It was Charlie's birthday. We will get started today, but my goodness, teachers, you really, 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 really deserve a beer at the end of every day. Okay, so I'm going to use, and I hope you can see this. Here's my pastry rectangle, which I've sliced. I'm holding it over just to check because I want to make a square. Fun fact, pizza wheel, easiest thing in the world to use. Okay, and then I'm going to use my, can you see? Sorry. I'm just going to use my heart-shaped cookie cutter. Guys, these cookie cutters I think are one of the hardest working things in our kitchen. Oh no, I must use the little one actually. That's silly. You don't want to use one that's too big actually, come to think of it. Let's put that one back there. Okay, I'm going to use a smaller one. I really work hard to get that heart out perfectly. You see what I've done there? The perfect little heart. Hi there. Okay. Cut myself another piece of pastry here, because that one I'm not that happy with what I did there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to lay the heart-shaped slice on top. I'll show it to camera now. You see what I've done there? Okay. And then we're going to take delicious strawberry jam. Now, jam's just one of those things you're not going to use all the time, which is one of the reasons why I really, really love the Rhodes one, because it comes with a really convenient lid that you can pop on. I'm not a jam on toast fan. I like it on things like rice pudding. I know whenever I tell people that, they think it's really weird. If I'm really craving something sweet, I like just a spoon of jam. This kind of thing, I would love it, and obviously with scones, but yeah. So the jam lasts in our house, but we don't necessarily have it on toast every day. Now what we're going to do is we're going to spoon the jam into our center of our heart. There you go. And we just want to make sure that we keep that tip there, because otherwise you're going to lose that lovely heart shape. And we're going to, I've just melted some butter in the micro. Fun fact, you want to melt butter in the micro, melt it every do it in 10-second increments. Then we're going to brush it really generously. And we're going to pop it into the oven for about 10-15 minutes. And then what's going to happen, when you take it out the oven, your jam's going to have disappeared. When you take it out, it will be there, and then it's all going to disappear. So it soaks into that pastry. Your pastry will puff up beautifully. And then you must put another spoonful in. That's what's so divine. And what happens is you end up with these little pretties, which I warmed up just now. Can you see how cute? And look at these little guys. Little puff pastry hearts. Really cute way. Just for your family. Really affordable. Jam goes very long way. You can use them in so many things, and obviously apricot jam, if you are making something like the Abort inspired mince that we were making earlier, a little scoop of apricot jam never goes amiss. Now, those are the three things we've made. So taking our inspiration from Mexico and really working with the flavors and ingredients that you find there. Beans, obviously, tomato, onion, corn, and those lovely heady spices, not too hot, but really flavorful spices. We've made baked enchiladas. Let me show them to you again. Try not to burn myself this time. What did I do with them? Okay, though. Goodness me. Can you see? So we made baked enchiladas, which I used chakalaka with corn, and then we made wraps with our spicy mince, which had mashed black beans in it, and butter beans for that creamy flavor, which makes food really, it just gives such body to food, and it also stretches things really beautifully. Then the other thing we made were tacos. Guys, I can't find anything. I'm going mad. Oh, here we go. So we did Abort inspired tacos. So again, we took that mince with a little bit of masala powder added to it, and this time we added baked beans because you want that sweetness for like you get with Abort. And then we added our tomato onion, fresh tomato onion, dhania, and of course, let's not forget the chutney. And then for something sweet to eat, we did our puff pastry, Rhodes Quality Strawberry Jam Tart. You can use any jam really, and you could also dust some icing sugar over it, and when they come out really nice and hot from the oven, a spoonful of ice cream. Delicious. Last thing I want to show you is what you can do with the kids after you've been slaving away in the kitchen, but maybe tomorrow when they're hucking in the morning and they're desperate for TV or they really don't want to settle down into the food, you can do a little craft with them, which I thought I'd show you. Going back to my GH roots. Okay, so really tapping into our waste not, want not culture at the moment. This is a wind chime that you can go and hang in the garden. I've taken my Rhodes Quality chopped peeled tomatoes. That was the garlic one that we used. I've got loads of these, as I told you earlier. And literally just pieces of metal, a random fork. I don't know why this fork irritates me so much, but it's always floating around the cutlery drawer. It drives me mental. A cookie cutter that's seen better days, and random lids. And we just pop that onto a embroidery hoop, and we're going to pop that in the trees and let it just remind the kids of something constructive they made, rather than just watching TV all day. And then just a little trick, what we do to make that hole, can you see there? Bashed it with a hammer and a nail, bashed the hole through, and then threaded my embroidery cotton onto a toothpick and popped it through the hole. And there we have a little wind chime using our Rhodes Quality old tin. Nothing goes to waste in this household, guys. So I hope you enjoyed these little easy food fixes. As I said, I'm such a fan of food in a can, and especially food that's nutritious, that's really easy to access, and that keeps for ages. And yeah, let's keep feeding each other and feeding those around us, guys. Stay safe in the lockdown, and we'll see you again on Friday. Thanks so much. See you soon.